Good morning, everyone. My name is Marianne Newmark. I am the Director of Homeownership Programs here at the Housing Council at Pathstone. I'm being joined today by my colleague, Giselle Fonseca. She is here in tech support. She's going to be monitoring the chat, so anybody tuning in, if you've got any questions, go ahead and throw them in that chat. And when we get to the end, or if there is a point where we are discussing what your question pertains to, Giselle will let us know who the question's for and pose it to our panelists. So I'd like to welcome everyone. Thank you for your interest in our topic today. We're going to be discussing not only the pandemic, but the seller's market and how they relate out there for first-time home buyers. And also, it's really exciting. The Housing Council at Pathstone right now, as you see that big 50, we're celebrating 50 years of critical housing services to our community here in Rochester, Monroe County, and the greater Rochester area and the surrounding areas, all the way out to Genesee County and in the areas out towards the east as well. So in addition to the panel discussions that we have going on, we had a great one on Tuesday. We are going to have a couple more next week, and we're going to put those up at the end, the future topics. We are also hosting our big 50th anniversary celebration on October the 6th. And there's, again, stay tuned for details at the end of this presentation today. And we really hope you can join us for that. So I'm going to let you know kind of what we are about here. If you don't already know, we are Housing Council Pathstone, and we are a HUD-approved nonprofit housing counseling agency. We've actually served on average about 8,000 households on an annual basis. So we have quite the big impact here in our area. And we also not only do just the counseling, but we have intervention services as well for tenants, homeowners, homeless, and landlords as well. We offer comprehensive assistance and direct training to those landlords. So they also have a place they can go if they need assistance with anything they may be experiencing. We've been maintaining our housing hotline. It's Monday through Friday for folks that just need a quick question and some direction of what services may assist them. And we've always been about promoting fair housing and awareness of that. In all of our classes, we do let everyone know where they can have resources for that and their protections. And we also have our rental registry. That is more information. You can come to the housingcouncil.org for that. So moving along, today's panel, we've got a great lineup today. I'm super excited. We are being joined by Ty Thomas. She's an associate broker at New to You Homes. We have Fritz Gunther here with Gunther Home Inspections. And also we've got Cindy O'Grady there, mortgage loan officer for Evans Bank. So let's start out with Ty. Why don't you say hello to the group this morning?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. And thank you so much for having me this morning. I am Ty Thomas. I'm an associate broker at New to You Homes right here in Rochester, New York. We're located right at 310 State Street. So we are what I like to call an all-inclusive real estate brokerage. We assist our clients from credit to closing. So when clients come to us, a lot of them are preparing their credit, kind of preparing their minds, which is also important for being a first-time home buyer. I would say 90% of our clients are first-time home buyers, but we do list homes, we do assist our previous buyers with selling their homes, and we follow them throughout the process until we get to the culmination of all their hard work, which is the keys at the closing table. So I just want to thank you guys for having me this morning. We are very, very excited to serve the Rochester community.
All right, great. And thank you for joining us. I'll let Fritz say a quick hello and explain what he does and his role in first-time home buyer transactions.
Hi, thanks for having me. My name is Fritz Gunther. I am owner of Gunther Home Inspections, where we cover a wide range of inspections, but the main thing we focus in on is the full inspection of a home that you're looking to purchase. I've been doing this personally for about 23 years. I'm coming close to 17,000 homes that I've inspected, so I've seen a lot of stuff out there. I really like working with home buyers because I find that it's working with people that are in a good place in life, moving forward, looking to settle down and really set in some roots. The home inspection process covers essentially everything that is included with the home. This is a great program, and I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Fritz. Cindy O'Grady, Evans Bank, we've been working together a long time, and as a loan officer and how you relate to the program, and a little bit about what's going on in the market.
Good morning, I'm Cindy O'Grady, and I'm with Evans Bank, and I want to thank you for having me here. I have been doing mortgages for over 30 years. And one of my favorite things to do is to work with first-time home buyers. I find that it's really exciting, and you're buying your biggest purchase that you'll probably ever purchase. I mean, hopefully going up, you'll buy more, but it's understanding everything that's involved and how to do it and how to make it happen and different ways. And there's always a way to sort of make things to work. And I just really enjoy it. I love working with Pastone. I've worked closely with them for many years. And when there's a will, there's always a way.
Absolutely. When we say there's a will, there's always a way. What do you mean specifically?
To purchase, yeah. So, one of the first things that I do is, some of the questions is like, okay, when do I come in? When do I meet with people? I say whenever you're first thinking about really buying a house, that's the perfect time. It's getting everything ready so that you know exactly what you need. It's looking at credit and seeing where everything is and how much of a house and where you want to buy. And what taxes and so on and so forth, and closing costs. Closing costs add up faster than anything. Sort of like when you go to Wegmans and you look at the checkout clerk and you say, I'm sorry, how much? I go, well, this is a little bit worse. So there's ways to prepare you to save and how to get funds. And there's closing costs grants that like Pastone has, that's excellent. There's all sorts of ways to make things work. And I'm here to help you each way. And that's sort of what I do. It's preparing you for how much you qualify for and how that all works. So it's really exciting. I really enjoy doing it.
Good. It comes through definitely with our clients that you serve as well. Ty, just for folks that are joining us that may be new to the home buying process, when in the process of home buying do they generally reach out to a real estate agent like yourself?
Yeah, so normally someone would reach out to a real estate agent once they've already met with Cindy and obtained a pre-approval. But at New to You Homes, we do work a little bit different, like I said, from credit to closing. So if we know that there's a brand new homeowner that has some questions about, like Cindy said, how much their closing costs are going to be, or perhaps what they may get pre-approved for, we would probably start there. So they come to a class. We have classes the first Wednesday of each month, and it's just an intake class. And we go over the entire process. And like Cindy said, what is going to be included in their closing costs, what could possibly come up when they're going through for their home inspection with Fritz, those different things. So we kind of talk to them about what to expect when being a first-time home buyer. And after that class, we bring them in for a one-on-one with one of our agents, and they sit down and they develop a home purchase plan. So we tell them that everyone's plan is different, everyone's situation, everyone's transaction is different. So even if someone referred them to us, their transaction is going to be different. So in that home purchase plan, it's when we start really getting into the type of home they're looking for, what their dreams may be, what that, that list of all the items, the amenities that they want in the house, the heated floors, fireplaces, you should hear the things that I hear. And then we talk about, what they kind of can't live without for their family. And then once we get to that point, we also discuss grants. We discuss what will they be moving, do they prefer the city or the suburbs? We refer them to the housing council for grants, for credit counseling, all of those different things. So what we would do is kind of tailor this plan to meet their needs. And we tell them all the time, this plan can change. It's your own individualized home purchase plan. Life happens, things happen, and that's okay. So we may say that the plan is for a year from now or 6 months, but if that plan changes, that's okay. We regroup, we sit back down, and we come back out when we are ready to go to the bank, to meet with Cindy, to do those different things so that we can obtain approval and start looking for homes.
Absolutely. Once they find their home, then Fritz, when do you come into play in the process? Should a home inspector be contacted?
Yeah, typically, this is a little bit of a different market, but normally it's they submit the offer contingent upon a couple of things. One of them being a home inspection, and that's once it's accepted, that's usually when we come in to the picture. So they've made the offer, it's been accepted. They've got 5-7 days to get the home inspection completed, and that's when we come in to do the inspection.
Now, our panel thing that we had just a few days ago was how health relates to housing. Where would that be where someone would find any health concerns? Is in a home inspection? Is to kind of piggyback off our last panel discussion?
Oh, absolutely. The home is where you spend most of your time, typically. So you're sleeping there, you're eating there, you're living there, you're interacting in the house, in all aspects of the house, from the basement to the living areas to the bedrooms. The homes can harm you. There's a lot of things out there, both long-term and short-term. There's items such as radon, which is a long-term health issue. There's lead paint, which used to be very, very common in lead was in paint, asbestos, that sort of thing. Not to mention moisture. And especially on a day like today, it's amazing how much moisture can cause damage to both a home and your health. It's all about ventilation. It's keeping that home as dry as possible. So yeah, health concerns are probably the number one questions that I get asked on inspections. How does this affect us? Is this a big concern? Is this not a big concern? Can it be dealt with? That sort of thing. So yeah, it's very important.
Yeah, especially prior to purchasing the home, before you're in it and can't leave for a while since you own it years. And that kind of brings us talking about health to today's topic. We've been dealing with a global pandemic like we haven't seen in our country and our world for almost over 100 years at this point. So we really are seeing some impact. So at this point, and we'll start out with go around with Ty. What impacts have you seen COVID-19 and this pandemic? What have you seen on first-time buyers or buyers in general in your industry from showing houses? What have been all the impacts or the main ones that you've been experiencing?
Well, early on last year, when COVID really hit Monroe County, we actually had to cease all in-person showings of homes, which you can imagine is very difficult for a first-time home buyer to make a decision without actually physically walking through the home. So we were allowed to do virtual showings only. We did have a couple buyers that purchased during that time, but there were buyers who said, you know what, I feel like I physically need to go to the home, which is understandable because like Fritz said, if you're not fully aware of what's going on in that home, sometimes you can walk into a home and if there's moisture in the basement, you smell it instantly, even through a mask. So one of those things that we really had to work around was those virtual showings, and just kind of, when we did get back out there, getting comfortable with wearing masks and unfortunately not bringing small children to showings so that they're touching everything and, kind of being very aware of someone else's personal space. We are still wearing masks. I still take, the gear that we take now to look at a home is a little bit different because we're wearing masks, we're taking booties, we're wearing gloves. Sometimes I take Lysol wipes, just making sure that we're being safe in someone else's home and that my buyers are being safe because, sometimes you get that. I've gotten, messages that say someone in the house tested positive for COVID. If you were there and you had your buyers there, then you've been exposed. So now there's nothing more scary during that, during this time of knowing that you've been exposed to COVID and you've been around your family and different things like that. So that's one of the things that we had to face. And this pandemic and this seller's market, so many people are at home right now, like we are. So many people are at home right now. So many people are looking for homes online. And looking at homes online is great, but I always tell my buyers, it's the job of the photographer to make the home look amazing. It is the job of the listing agent to make the home look amazing. So getting out there and tangibly seeing the homes and feeling comfortable doing so is one of the things that we have had to, kind of deal with during this pandemic.
Absolutely. Fritz, how's it impacted you on the home inspection industry with the COVID-19?
Yeah, in the beginning, it was challenging trying to figure out what the rules were, what could and could not be done. I found though that buyers seem to be, and especially first-time home buyers, seem to be a lot more in tune with what they want as far as in a house. They nowadays, people have spent much more time in the house than before, being in this lockdown, basically. So they're well aware that, look, we need a finished basement, we need an extra office, we need a certain amount of bathrooms. So they're definitely more informed when they come in to the home buying process, which has got to make it easier for everybody, because then you spell out what exactly you want. And then safety is also a concern. They want to know, is the air we're breathing good? Are we able to seal these windows properly from the weather? Stuff like that. So it's definitely more, it's different, but it's again, taking classes like this and becoming more informed has definitely improved the buyers out there, especially the first-time home buyers.
Absolutely. And Ty mentioned that she had to do virtual showings. Now, you can't really do a virtual home inspection now, can you? So how did that part of the pandemic shake out on your end?
Well, Ty is absolutely right that a lot of people were looking at houses through video, through photographs, but it's very, very easy to photograph stuff you want people to see and not photograph stuff you don't want them to see. Take a movie, for example. You see the scene that the director wants you to see, but you don't see all the people behind the scenes standing behind the camera and the fake backdrops and all that stuff. Again, in the beginning, it was very challenging to figure out what the rules were and what they weren't. What I found last year, throughout most of 2020, is I ended up doing the home inspection by myself. The buyers would usually wait outside. The homeowners were gone. I'm kind of going through the house by myself. That's kind of how it was in the beginning. So there was really no virtual inspections, but we were getting by as best we could, and we did do quite a few inspections, because once you're in the throes of a home purchase, they did deem home inspections as essential. You have to know what the condition of the house is, what you're purchasing, is it safe? So we were able to move along fairly well throughout it.
Good. And Cindy, you've been on the mortgage side, so with the banking, take us through early 2020 till now and the changes you've experienced.
We had to go offsite. So it's talking to people over the phone and, trying to explain to them how, everything works. And it's a little bit more difficult because a lot of people like to see things up front and be able to ask questions back and forth. So that was a little bit more challenging, not being able to sit in front of people. And every bank had their different rules about, whether you could go into the office or whether you couldn't. And unfortunately, I was home for longer than what I wanted to be. So that part was difficult. The other part is that when people were not employed or getting unemployment, that could affect their income. And it's still affecting their income on some. I mean, because if you were self-employed, I had a hairdresser that, didn't show as much income. And when you're self-employed, you're using a 2-year history. So it's talking to, if we have a P&L, profit and loss, what we're now able to do, because we're a little bit further into it, we can sort of say, okay, well, 2019 looked really good. 2020 was light, but that was understandable. And where are you now? So we're looking at everything, trying to overcome some of that. But it's the same thing. Some people this year are just going back into work. So their pay stubs, their year to date was light. So we had to get an explanation for that and look at, again, the previous year, where we are now, how many hours are you doing? Is it steady? So that played a big part of it, because we want to make sure that the income that we're using is steady and it is, it's going to be good for the long haul. But we can't use unemployment because that's something that isn't going to continue. So it's hard. It was hard for people to understand and trying to make it work. But, once we got letters from employers, or we would do whatever we could to try to make it work.
On average, how long did your bank and banks in general require folks to be back at work? For what length of time if they were directly affected by a COVID shutdown?
The bank that I was at, we weren't really allowed to go back. It was just about a year. So that took a long time. And again, I think that there's a lot of information that people, they're comfortable when you're sitting in front of somebody. You build that little bit of rapport, and then it's a trust in some of those questions that are difficult to ask, like, well, what about my credit, or what about this, or there's a lot of that, or just reading somebody face to face. So it's it was hard for me. I like doing face to face. I think most of my first time home buyers get more out of it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we haven't just been dealing with the pandemic out there now, have we? All of us on this call know that there's been quite a few factors that have made just the last years of 2020 and 2021 very unprecedented. One of that is inventory. So according to the Greater Rochester Association of Realtors, I have seen that actually 39% of inventory lower than the previous year of 2020 of this year. That's a huge drop just year to year, but we were already down in 2020 quite a bit, now leading into this year as well. So with this inventory being so low, what are your strategies? How is that impacting what you're doing out there, Ty?
Oh, it's making me get really, really creative, creative, and really talking to my buyers about patience for them and patience for me, because I am used to taking a buyer out perhaps 1 to 5 times, putting in 3 offers, getting into contract. But now we're probably going out 30 times, putting in 28 offers, and getting 27 no's before we do get into contract. So it is I had this conversation with one of my buyers yesterday. It's a process. So some buyers have experienced buyer's fatigue, where they're just thinking, I need to just put this, I need to put this on the back burner for now. It's a little bit too stressful. It's a little bit too overwhelming. But there are other buyers who just stick with it and they just keep pushing forward. And I had actually a great story on my Facebook page. One of the young ladies that started at the beginning of COVID, and everything happened to her. She got married, then she no longer qualified for the grants, and then COVID happened. 17 homes later, she's finally in contract. But that is the story of a lot of my buyers throughout this seller's market. I have only been doing real estate for about 17 years, but those realtors that have been doing real estate for 30, 40 years, they've told me that they've never experienced anything like this before. So we are in an extreme seller's market, and our inventory has been very low, which means the inventory is low, but there's lots of buyers out there because the interest rates are low. So they want to get out and they want to look at homes, but they're competing with so many other buyers. So there's 27 offers on a table versus 3, and you're the best of 3. So you really have to do things that stand out. And maybe that is, and for first-time home buyers, it's sometimes difficult to come up with that larger deposit, maybe a gift from a parent, all kinds of different things that we're doing, even putting down more in your down payment. So if someone's coming along and they're putting down 20%, and I have a first-time home buyer who's utilizing a grant, and the listing agent knows that they need that grant in order to close, that kind of changes the playing field a little bit, and it makes it a lot more difficult for them to get into a contract. So what we've been doing is just, we look at all kinds of different things. So we look at the money that they're putting down. As far as the grants go, we at New to You Homes take it upon ourselves to educate any listing agent that we're working with that doesn't know about the grant. We talk about it. We tell them that we've gone through it several times. We're very familiar with it, and we can get our buyers through the process. So kind of just providing education for the buyers, the listing agent, the listing agent to speak with their seller. Some people still out here really want to sell their homes to first-time home buyers because maybe it's a family home, it's just something that is still in their heart to do. So that has helped us a little. There's all sort of things that people are doing, waiving, attorney approvals. I do not advise my buyers to do any of those things. If my buyer comes to me and says, I want to do those things, then I advise them on what could happen, especially even with waiving inspections. You are buying, like Cindy said, making the biggest purchase that some will ever make in their lives. So if you're waiving a home inspection and you don't know what's going on with that home, and then you move in, things are, things that can go wrong, those latent defects, the things that you didn't see and didn't know about could possibly happen. I do have some buyers who are doing home inspections they're not making it contingent, not making the contract contingent, but they're still doing home inspections for their own knowledge. And we will tell the listing agent that we're doing the home inspection for their own knowledge so they can know what's going on with the home. It's not contingent on that, but they really need to know what's going on with the home before they purchase the home. And I think Fritz even told me that some people are doing post inspections just to make sure if they didn't do a home inspection, their mind is at ease, because it is a home that people have lived in, and things are going to happen. They even do inspections on new builds. So we are very encouraging when it comes to what the buyer wants to do, and being there to support them, because there's nothing. I always tell my buyers, I want you to speak to me when you see me in Target. I don't want you to ignore me and say, this is the lady that sold me the bad house. So, we're very, very, we're mindful of the things that are going on. And we try to, if a client may have, $130,000 pre-approval, and we're looking at houses that are about 110, and we know that there are things called escalation clauses where we can escalate up to that 130 in increments of $1,000. But if another buyer comes along and offers more than 130, they have the house. But our buyers are even getting comfortable with, okay, I have a pre-approval, it's for this amount. Am I comfortable paying this monthly mortgage? Because that's the first thing I say to them when they come to me. Okay, I've been approved. Okay, are you comfortable with a, $1,200 mortgage? No, I absolutely am not. Okay, well then we are absolutely not looking at houses up to $130,000. So those are different things that when, they're looking at these mortgage calculators online, they're like, oh, this house is going to be $500 a month. I said, it absolutely is not going to be. There are taxes and insurance involved. All of those calculations have not been made. So just educating our buyers and getting them to understand and be comfortable has been the main thing throughout this seller's market.
Absolutely. And so you've hit on a lot of absolutes that are happening out there with escalation clauses, with finding all different sorts of monies for closings. If you go up higher than, your pre-approval was for. So Cindy, that opens the door for you. What creativity is needed right now in this market with inventory at a low? After Ty gets that negotiation going, what strategies have you used that are different this year and last year to make these things happen?
One of the things is that I do ask them about their real estate agent. I mean, I think it's so important to have somebody that's seasoned, like Ty, and that is aggressive. You need somebody that isn't going to wait, to get back to you about a house that you're interested in. It's really important to go out and make sure of that. But it's also, again, one of the things that I ask also is, where is your comfort zone? One of the very first thing is, what price point are you looking at when you're looking? Because everybody's looking online at first before they come to me. What price point? And at what price point? And also taxes and so on and so forth. But again, because I agree with Ty, I don't care what anybody says you qualify for. It's what you are comfortable with, because you're making that payment. That is the most important thing. You want to be able to live. But it is getting to that point of explaining to them that, with the escalation clauses and so on and so forth, that if you are looking at $130,000 home, how much higher are you willing to go? And this is what it's going to look like. If you go from 110 to 150, what everything's going to look at. They need to, the first time home buyer and all buyers need to be aware of taxes and how that affects your payment. You're taking out taxes for 12 months. So you divide that up and that's what it's going to be. That adds up really fast. If you change a mortgage where I have 2.75 right now over 30 years and you drop it a few $1,000s, it's not going to make a change, that big of a change. So it's preparing somebody to realize that, yes, you may be looking at houses as 130, but you may, if you want it, 150. And it's preparing from that. And if you're not prepared, to do 150, maybe you start out a little bit less. And it's working with the real estate agent and communicating back and forth. Some of it is using grants. I have had other agents, call me and talk about the grants and that sort of thing. It's finding lenders with that have lenders closing costs that they'll contribute as well. It's, little things like that. It is, but there are things out there that you can do. Excuse me. But I do find it important also with home inspection. Home inspections, I can't tell you how many times before when I've told people, you really should get a home inspection. This is a big purchase. There's things that you're not aware of that a home inspector will. And I can't tell you the number of times people have come back to me and said, thank you for doing that. I can't imagine if I bought that house and there was this problem or that problem involved with it. But it is it's being comfortable, being aware, knowing your price point and looking at the taxes. So because like I said, taxes can increase your payment faster than anything. You look at a house with $7,000 in taxes, and you can only afford $5,000. That's the house you're going to fall in love with, and that's going to be a hard one to walk away from. But I just try to help them along those lines. It's tough out there, and I do try to encourage them that don't give up. I know that something will come. It's just a time. It's a numbers game at the same time. So it can be done. I've had a lot of people, and especially right now, I'm finding more houses being opened up to first-time home buyers with grants as well, which that's encouraging too.
Absolutely. And so going on with that, you mentioned home inspections, and Ty mentioned something that's happening out there right now with this low inventory that probably scared Fritz a little bit, just gave you hives hearing that people are waiving inspections. Talk a little bit about the dangers of the waived inspections in this market, of what people could walk into.
Well, I've been doing this for many, many years, and in doing so, you see the market go up and down. You see buyers markets, you see sellers markets, you see everything in between. And I'm basically on the front line of seeing the switch of when it does transition from a buyer's market to a seller's market, or sellers to a buyer's market. And I can pretty much tell during the inspection what type of market we're in. Right now, it has been an extreme seller's market, but I do see it softening within the last month, 4 weeks. I'm seeing more sellers are becoming reasonable with the offers that are coming through. Before the pandemic, I'd say probably 95, 98% of the time I'm inspecting homes for buyers prior to purchasing the home. Now I'd say it's probably a 50-50 mix. 50% of the homes before the purchase. A lot of times they're not contingent. They tell me that right off the bat, which makes no difference to me as the inspector, whether it's contingent or not. I'm just there to inform. I'm the eyes and the ears of the buyers going through. Half the people are doing it after the sale, which I go through the same exact way that I would as if they were about to purchase as opposed to purchasing it. Most people want to know, is the house safe? Is it structurally sound? Is there any big things that are going to come down the pike in the near future? What should I be preparing for? What should I budget for? A whole list of things, basically getting to know the house behind the stuff that's important to the buyer. And what's important to the buyer is, you know, price range, taxes, schools, neighborhood, size of the home, that sort of thing, which really has no impact on the home inspection. The home inspection is just basically ages, life expectancy, safety issues, what can be expected to come through. But it's amazing how unique the home buying purchase is. It's unlike any other thing out there because you can't compare it to your rent, because you can live in a house, you can rent a house for 5 years, move out, maybe get your security deposit back, maybe. When you purchase a house, it's a big investment, it's overwhelming, or so it seems in the beginning, but after 5 years, you've built equity, and if you've maintained that house properly, taking care of the things that needed to be taken care of, caulk, paint, keep it in good condition, you'll benefit from that. You'll definitely profit from that. So it's not as easy to compare it to what you're paying in rent and what your benefits are with renting versus buying. I've found that buying and owning is always a great thing to do. If you purchase correctly, you've got the right people behind you, helping you with the mortgage, helping you with the purchase of the property, educating you as far as what to expect. I love working with first-time home buyers, and especially ones that have gone through the Housing Council at Patstone, because they seem to be a lot more educated on what to expect, and they're pretty well informed, and especially for a first-time home buyer, because existing homeowners are usually informed because they've been burned by the house that they purchased before. They didn't know what to expect in some cases, or they overextended themselves, or they just didn't know what they're getting into, basically. But it's all about information, and getting the right information is what I find.
Absolutely. And on piggybacking onto that, as housing counselors, we are hearing that a lot of the houses that are out there in this low inventory seem to have sometimes really deferred maintenance, that we're finding houses that need a lot more work than we did before going for higher than they ordinarily would. Are you seeing houses in rougher condition out there, Fritz, as you go from home inspection to home inspection?
Most definitely, definitely. That's basically how I can tell what type of market we're in. If it's a buyer's market where the buyers are in control, houses are in pretty good condition. These sellers have to get their houses looking pristine because they're competing with so many other houses out there. When it switches to the seller's market, I see homes that are not only containing deferred maintenance, but just so far as you've got the sinks loaded with dirty dishes, you've got laundry strewn throughout the bedrooms. They're not even picking up for the open houses. They're not trimming the trees back. They're not trimming the bushes back. We're a buyer's market. I've seen everything from, you know, people making apple pie right before the inspection, so the house smells fantastic. Take down pictures off the wall, so it's not you know, seeing other people's personal items. It's amazing. But yeah, I can definitely definitely see the houses in the last year have been in rougher shape, which some can be small, easy items to fix, and others could be signs of big potential costly items. So it's really going through and trying to make a difference between what is just cosmetic common items and what is a much bigger, larger problem.
Ty, are you seeing that as well? You've been in probably just as many houses as Fritz out there. What's going on with the housing stock and the quality?
Yes, I agree with Fritz. You know, we're walking into some pretty rough homes, and like I said, the pictures will be amazing, but we'll walk in and, you know, it won't be like the picture. We use the term a pig with lipstick on. So they may put down some, you know, new floors over the flooring that's there. There'll be gaps in the floor, just a very, very kind of, let's sell this house because my neighbor just got $50,000 above asking for their home. So let's put our house on the market, but it's not really ready to be put on the market and it hasn't been maintained. So I am seeing that a lot. And when a buyer walks into something like that, the one thing I don't want them to feel is as though they're settling, you know, they're settling for this. So I've been looking for 2 months. I really need a house. You know, we feel that push when school is getting ready to start, you know, couple months before school's getting ready to start, because if someone's trying to get their child in a certain school district, you feel the need, or sometimes they just decide to wait until the following year. But we have seen, you know, I want to say houses going over asking, you know, 50,000 over asking. I think the highest one I heard about was in Brighton for $100,000 cash over asking. You know, first time home buyers don't have that type of money. So that is one of the things, a lot of them don't. That's one of the things that we're facing as well. And then making sure, and I'm sure Cindy is seeing some of these things, the houses are actually appraising at the bank. You know, are they really appraising? Is the house really worth that much? And walking into a home that you feel as though you're settling for and paying more is a big, big sting. So, you know, really trying to get the buyers through those emotions, you know, of settling, because when we sit down and develop their home purchase plan and they have that list of items, that fireplace and those heated floors, I really must want heated floors, but that fireplace and those heated floors, you know, and then they're not getting that. They're getting the opposite of that. It kind of, it takes a lot of getting used to. And especially if those items are cosmetic items, sometimes that's okay. We can see past cosmetics, paint, pulling down wallpaper. But like Fritz said, if those items are just, the seller hasn't really taken care of the home and now they're selling it, you know, we don't know the age of the furnace, the hot water tank, the roof is, you know, all of those different things can come into play when a first-time home buyer is making decisions. And we just want to make sure that it is a good decision for them.
Absolutely. So Cindy, what have you been seeing on the appraisal end? We've got houses going for 10, 30, and now I hear up to 100,000 over asking, possibly with some deferred maintenance. Where are the appraisals shaking out in all of this?
I have been actually finding most of them have been appraising out because there has been so much going on. I have had some that have not. So that's another negotiation between the buyer and the seller as well, as, you know, is the you know, seller going to say, well, you know, too bad, I know I can get it someplace else, or are you going to negotiate it another way, where they split it? And because not always the home buyer is going to have the money to come up with the difference between, you know, what it appraised out and what the purchase price is. Because in a mortgage, we always go with the lower on the loan to value of the appraised value or the purchase price. So now if it appraised low, there's a gap between the cost of the buying the house and what will you know, lend on. So it's coming up with that difference as well. So I've had some negotiations with a few difference and they've seemed to work it out.
Right. Now, we talked about deferred maintenance. Are there any issues with the home that would make a lender not lend? For those that aren't familiar with it, is there anything that would be wrong with the house where a lender would not lend on the home?
One of the things is, the difference between an appraisal and having a home inspection. The appraiser is interested in making sure that the house, the value is there by comping it out from neighborhoods and making sure it's all the same and comping it out that way. If there's something visual, like there's like a wet spot in the corner, they want to make sure that that might be, taken care of and that it's not, something that's ongoing. So they may ask for something like that, but they're not going to get into the deep of it all like a home inspection. And that's where there's more of it, but it's more for the value. And that it is, obviously, like if a room is half done, if the studs are up or whatever, they're going to ask for that to be completed. But yeah, that's why there's a really great idea to get the home inspection, because the appraiser isn't going to catch everything, most of it.
Absolutely. And knowing all of this that we have been talking about, just kind of as a final question for each of you, if you had someone really close to you looking to buy their first house right now in this market, what would you tell them as it relates to, and also your kind of housing predictions of how the market's going to go in the next 6 to 12 months? With that outlook, 6 to 12 months from now, what would you tell somebody, Ty, close to you, personal friend? I really want to buy now. What should I do?
Yes, well, of course, I still think it's a great time to buy because of interest rates being low. And I've had people close to me purchase during this pandemic, and just having a great team, like building your team, like Cindy said, a great loan officer, a great inspector, a real estate attorney, if you are going to be a part, applying for grants, doing all those things, I would say get your ducks lined up in a row first. Get all of those things lined up, because what we want to do, each house that we go to is a potential, and we want to be able to shine amongst all of the people who are out there looking. So I think really having a solid team behind you that, we all communicate, we're all on the same page. And also, even if you're getting the grants that are coming at the closing table, it's important to save, because if you can say, okay, there's a $10,000 gap in the appraisal difference, but you have an extra $5,000 that you've saved, and you and the seller can come to terms on that. Now you've saved yourself and you're in that home. So it's really important. Sometimes people think, oh, I'm just going to save. The grant said I need to save $1,500. I'm just going to save $1,500. No. And like Fritz said, even after you purchase the home, there are things that are going to come up. You want to be in the position to pay. If you need a new hot water tank, you want to be in the position to take care of those items immediately. So now you can be a great homeowner. And when it's time for you to sell that home, your home has increased in value. So that is the advice that I would give to any homeowner that's looking right now.
Cindy, your advice for close personal friends and your market outlook?
I too have had close friends looking and buying in this market. And I think, just as Ty was saying, is that you have to make sure that you have the money. You have to make sure that there's more money available and to do it. But the interest rates are so low. I can't remember when I've seen them this low, that it's amazing. You can buy a lot more house at the same time. So it is being careful, making sure that you can afford that payment, because that's the most important thing. And it's not getting caught up in the house and everything else, but maintaining that you can afford that payment. Because like Ty said, there's a lot of times things are going to go wrong. The furnace is going to, or there's something unexpected, or, there's just things that happen all the time. And, water heaters are no longer cheap anymore. But yeah, it's, so but I would. I mean, some people they're, not ready to, and that's okay too. You can wait. I mean, it's, if prices come down, mortgage rates go up, it's all going to balance out. So I think also the other thing that I do is you need an aggressive real estate agent like Ty, somebody that knows what they're doing. They know the business. They're going to help guide you through that home buying process. I'll do the back end and make sure, we talk about all the fees and everything else and making sure that you're ready and that you're qualified. But yeah, I don't be afraid.
All right.
But cautious.
Yeah. And Fritz, you even said that you saw things starting to soften over the last month. So with that in mind, your predictions for the next 6 to 12 months and your thoughts on buying now?
Sure. I definitely agree with Cindy and Ty that you got to have a great team behind you of people that know the market, that know the ups and downs of the market. I have had personal friends and family members who have purchased houses in the past year and a half, and they have come to me and asked me my advice. And I think the most common thing that I end up saying to these people is things are moving quickly. So you got to be able to move quickly. You don't have the luxury of going home and thinking about it for a couple of days. And is this the house we want to purchase? You have to be educated and know what you want before you jump into the market, because things go very, very quickly. Again, I'm on the front lines because by the time it gets to the home inspection, people are serious, offers are getting signed. They're not just putting their foot in the water to test it. They know how much they can afford. They've been through the process with Cindy. They know what they're looking for. They've been through the questionnaire and the interview with Ty. So now they've found that spot. They found that perfect house, and they have to move quickly on that. But so by the time it gets to me, I can see what the actual market is. And I do say in the past 3 to 4 weeks, it has been softening a little bit. Sellers are becoming a lot more reasonable. A little bit more houses are coming up on the market. The houses are starting to get in a little bit better shape, meaning that the sellers are anxious to sell. They're lowering prices in some cases, and with interest rates as low as they are and continuing to be low, this is a great time to buy. And again, the purchase of a home is a huge, it's a huge endeavor, but it's if done correctly with the right people behind you, it's well worth it. Well worth it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, those are all points. There's that double-edged sword. Either the prices are going to be low and interest rates are going to be high, or it's going to be the other way. So we do have some questions. So I'll post this question here to Ty. People are purchasing homes, this person writes, for much higher than asking price. And do you think that these prices are going to remain high, or do you think as the market starts to shift, we'll see them come down? And how is this going to affect people that might have overpaid? For instance, those people that paid over 100,000 over asking. How is that going to affect these people if they need to sell?
So that is a very great question. I definitely do see, like Fritz said, homes coming down. I also see homes going past their delayed negotiations period. So if they say they're going to negotiate on a Tuesday and it's Friday and they still haven't gotten an offer or made a decision, some of those homes are coming down. Some of those sellers are being more reasonable. So I do see that happening. And I've been having the conversations with my buyers about, all of those people who overpaid for homes. Now, a lot of times when people pay an extra 50,000 or 100,000, they're using cash. But in those cases, of course, if you put an additional 100,000 than the house is worth into a home, most of those people are going to keep those homes, just keep them into the family. So I am seeing that. But housing values in Rochester are pretty stable. So when people are looking from the outside thinking, oh, they overpaid by 30,000 because the house was only listed at 130 and they paid 160. Like Cindy said, those homes are appraising in the area. The homes are appraising, the taxes are increasing. So eventually it'll level out and they'll be, the houses are worth. So for instance, the first home that I purchased was a $48,000 home. That was my very first home. That house is now worth $106,000. So values in Rochester, it's a great place to live. They stay pretty stable when they are stable, and these increasing values, I feel like they're going to shake out. It's not going to be a situation, I hope, where you paid $70,000 additional for this house and now you're trying to sell it, because what a lot of my buyers who purchased 7 to 8 years ago, they're getting more for their homes now, because now the values have increased. So I have, and I always tell people, I have no crystal ball. I can't really say what's going to happen, but I do feel as though as long as you still are mindful when you're putting in offers, as long as we can still find comps in the area, if we find a comp in the area and it's $30,000 more, it's good and it's very good to have a responsible agent, because a lot of times when I'm on the buyer side, I look at the comps first and I tell the listing agent, I say, well, these are the 3 comps that I found. I want to make sure that, we are making sure that the house is going to appraise so that we can get through this transaction. So you just kind of have to be, put yourself in everyone's shoes all at one time, which can be very difficult to do. But if done the right way, you're going to get through a successful home buying process.
And so piggybacking onto that, with all this going on, how is Rochester going to stay affordable to everyone? That was a question we had from another agent. So so Cindy and Ty, how do we do that? How do we make it so everyone's still not priced out?
That can be a tough question. That is, I think that, obviously it's some concerns, but I always think that there are going to be homes that are affordable. I think that they might be a little bit harder to find, but they will be affordable. And I think also the taxes. I mean, there's plenty of houses that, the taxes are not too bad, and it's realizing where to buy for that. But I do think it will level out as well. Will we go back to, where we were? Maybe not, but I think it's, it will work out between grants and other things. I think that we can do it. Ty, what are your thoughts?
I believe that, a lot of my first time home buyers have more than one job. They have more than one job. I had a young lady that I was working with. She was a nurse. She had 3 jobs, 2 private cases and 1, job at the hospital. And I really, really do feel like there's so many wonderful opportunities in Rochester for grants. There's so many opportunities for first-time home buyers in Rochester. There's so many, like Cindy said, lenders offering incentives. And I do feel as though, as long as you educate yourself before you even make that purchase and seeing what's out there and available to you, because a lot of times people are first-time home buyers and they know nothing, and they go somewhere, they get an approval, and then they just buy a house. They don't look into grants. They don't look into any of those different things. But I think as long as you, again, have a team of people who can educate you and talk to you about making a sound decision and a great purchase, that things will be okay. And I've talked a little bit about pricing out. So those neighborhoods that would normally, be about $10,000 to $20,000 less, they have increased in price. But at the same time, people are purchasing homes, and it's one of those things where I just continuously see people purchasing and keeping those homes in their families. So it's just it's a whole thing. I can go off on a whole tangent about generational wealth and things like that, and starting to teach our children at a young age the importance of saving. There's no way around that. There's no way around saving. There's no way around being responsible. And I feel as long as you are teaching that, and as long as that's the main focus, then people will succeed. Rochester is a great place to live.
I would agree with that too. I would definitely agree with that. And like I said earlier, especially being a first-time home buyer, you're coming from the rental world where you're paying rent each month. So if you were to wait a year, maybe 2 years to purchase a house, you've essentially just given away, you know, $12,000 to $20,000 in rent that you won't get back, where that could have been spent paying down your mortgage, building equity in the home, and then historically prices do go up. And even though people are paying more for a house now, with the proper improvements, the proper maintenance on a house, you can retain most of that value anyways. And again, it's money. Yes, it's going back to the bank, paying down the mortgage, but it's actually going into the equity of the home, which when it does come time to sell, you benefit from that equity. Absolutely. Looks like Marianne's computer went down. So
You know,
it's a
the
great
other
program.
thing
Yeah.
I was just going to say about saving money and so on and so forth. Another thing, I've had buyers move in with their family members. One that helps them save money, and it's a great motivator to move back
Yes,
in
it
with mom and dad or, you know, whatever, and the house is smaller. It's a great motivator, you know, but that's a great way to save too.
It's sacrifice. It's sacrificing. And I've had a few buyers have to move back home with family members and save, and it's all about sacrifice. I feel like even just the home buying process of preparing your credit and putting yourself in the best position ever to purchase a home, you're already adding value to your family, because you are preparing yourself. Your credit is ideal. You've purchased a home, and like Fritz said, you're establishing, you know, equity in a home. So whereas some may just continuously pay rent and not have, you know, you're able to put your children through college. So you can pull that money out, that equity out of your home, put your children through college, have a great wedding for your children, all of those different things, you know, that people don't think about when, you know, owning versus renting. And I think that is really, really important. That focus has changed a little bit in Rochester, you know, as far as the renting versus owning, but I feel like owning is still, you know, the best route. It's still the best route.
One of the things too, you were talking about savings is that when you get a mortgage payment, I always encourage people to prepay on it, you know, a 30-year, because there is so much in there that you can bring it down quicker, you know, just pay right on the principal so that you can build equity faster. It gets to the point, if you're comfortable making a higher payment, just keep making that payment. You know, and if you need to go back to the regular payment, look it up and see what it is. But I think that's a great way to put into your house as well and save some equity.
I agree. Yeah, building equity both with paying down the principal. There's a tremendous amount of information out there of how much faster you can pay off a home just by paying a little bit more towards the principal when you can afford it, whether it's a tax refund or whatnot. And then also, like I said, just maintenance. Most people want maintenance-free items in a house, but hardly anything is maintenance free. You have to caulk, you have to paint, you have to trim back the vegetation, you know, make sure that nature's not trying to reclaim the house. And if you do these very simple maintenance items on a house, you will retain value. And not only that, but the neighborhood then looks great. The entire neighborhood benefits from that. It gets the neighbors motivated to do the same, to seal their driveway, to mow their lawn, to pick up the toys strewn about the front yard and stuff like that. So it's yeah, it's all about you know, maintaining what's yours. You know, pride of ownership is the main thing. And Rochester is a fantastic place to buy. That's why I live here.
Yes, it is home.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Marianne.
All right, so
Hi.
we had a little bit of a technical difficulty there, so thank you for bearing with me. We are getting close to the end of our 10 o'clock, so I'd just like to say thank you to all of our panelists for joining us. We are really excited here at the Housing Council at Pat Stone for all the relationships that we have made over this time. And it's really, wouldn't you all agree that the collaborative efforts is really what's needed in the community right now, especially during a pandemic and this market? Would you agree?
Most definitely. Yes.
Absolutely. What would you say, Fritz? How can we all continue to work together to keep our home buyers moving forward?
Not to panic on anything. I mean, we're all in this together, with whether it's the pandemic or making Rochester a fantastic place to live, and especially with the Housing Council at Pat Stone, with the 50 years that they've been around, helping countless people navigate through the whole home buying process and beyond. So it's a fantastic thing. Thank you.
Right. And Cindy, how can we keep working together moving forward in the Rochester community and keep us all able to own houses and affordability where it's at?
I think it's important that, I'm going to say this, buying a house and going through a mortgage and the home inspection, it's a lot to put on your plate. It can be overwhelming at times, but at times what you need are these people. You need the ties, you need Fritz, you need, your loan officers to help you through everything and to, just talk to us, because it is a teamwork. We all work together. And I think that's really what's important, that we all talk together and we all work together. And it makes it a lot easier.
Absolutely.
And, Pat Stone, I always refer back to Pat Stone and the Housing Council, for help with, with credit, or if there's other things or grants. I can't tell you the number of times that they've all come back with grants for my customers as well. So I think that's all very, very important. It's a great team.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. We love what we do here at the Housing Council of Pat Stone and our affiliate Pat Stone and all the services that we provide. And again, thank you all for taking time today to talk with us. And just up here on our slide, here's what is up and coming. September 28th is going to be our next panel discussion, Overcoming Barriers to Accessing Housing for Non-English Speakers. September 30th, The Rent's Too High, and October 5th, leading into the day before our celebration, A Challenging Time to Be a Landlord. So those are future up and coming things. And so remember that 50th anniversary, like I said, 12 to 1, Wednesday, October 6th. We're very excited to have a keynote speaker, Diane Yintel, coming, as well as our Housing Hero Awards. So definitely stay tuned for that. Lots of exciting things going on in this series. So again, panelists, thank you. And we will see you at the next panel discussion that'll be coming shortly. So stay tuned for the rest of the series. All right, again, thank you all.